Never miss another live stream again. Hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and click see all notifications. Oh, well, I guess I've been doing all this talking and then you can't even hear any of it. I guess that helps. I have to put that on. So sorry about that. So make sure I put the mark that down. So anyway, like I was saying, welcome to the Patreon Soft Sports stream. Apparently you guys heard nothing of what I said. So if you're not familiar with Soft Sports is a Houston, Texas homer channel. So we're talking all sports, but only Houston. With that being said, we're going to get into some things. We're going to talk Rockets. We're going to talk a little bit of Astros. We're going to talk about the Texans, and they started their offseason workout program today. So we're going to get into a few things and just discussing about the city of Houston. We're going to talk a little U of H, TSU. We ain't gonna talk about Rice. Fuck Rice. Nah, Rice is age time, but fuck them. Go Cougs. We're just gonna talk about these things, man. And we're gonna get into it. And honestly, I don't even know I got these on my motherfucking head. I just do. I think fucking force of habit. So we're gonna take these off. So again, welcome. Getting into these things, let's just get in it to win it. We've done the intro, we've done everything else, and whatever got fucked up. Hey, players fuck up. Y'all know what it is. So tonight we're gonna talk about the Texans. Let's talk about. Not tonight, it's actually the afternoon. I got to use that. I'm so used to talking tonight. Before we talk about this, let's talk about some of the smaller news, then we'll get into the big stuff. U of H track and field will be at the Mount Sac Relays from Thursday to Saturday, and I forgot where that was, and I actually wrote that down, but I don't know where that is. The U of H women's tennis team will be at the American Championship tournament today versus UConn Huskies, number 6 ranked tennis team versus the 11th. Huskies are ranked 11th. U of H has had their best tennis record, women's tennis record, since 2006, going 14-0 at home and 19-3 overall. Men's baseball, U of H men's baseball, beat Sam Houston yesterday 9-4. Improving their record, their overall record to 22-14, and now they're 18-4 at home, and they will be taking on Sam Houston again today at 6:30. Excuse me. TSU golf overall, everybody, men and women, they are at the SWAC championships tonight, and we actually started yesterday. From yesterday till the 18th, and shout out to TSU. Hopefully that the golf team does well. Maybe they got the next Tiger Woods on the team. Who fucking knows? Softball, TSU softball will be playing Sam Houston in Huntsville at 6:30, and TSU baseball will be versus Texas at 6:30 in Sugar Land tonight. They lost to Baylor yesterday 4-5. That's unfortunate, but hey, we got to represent for the city, man. Hopefully they can pull off a big win against Texas today. We'll find out what happens with that. Now let's get into the big stories, the big things you guys want to talk about. Astros yesterday won 4-1 over the Mariners, improving their overall record to 11-7, second in the AL West. Found a little bit of offense last night. Not what we're expecting. A lot of people have been complaining that the Astros haven't been having the hot bats that we need. And again, I don't know a whole shit ton. What's the motherfucking deal? White persuasion, always good to see you. All right, bet that. So, like I say, Yuli, Gaddis, Fisher, and McCann all scored runs. So shout out to the Astros. I'm not going to go too in-depth in that because, again, I'm not the most adept Astros talker, but we got to start showing them a little bit of love, make sure the afternoon flavor is going to be a little bit different. Like I said, we're going to talk about a more variety of things, and it'll be different a little bit from the afternoon sauce. Let's talk about the Texans, though. Let's talk Texans and what they have going on with the off-season workout starting yesterday, I believe. I don't know if they were actually working out yesterday, but I know they did several interviews and things like that. We were introduced to Global Hop, which was a pretty cool thing. If you haven't seen that, Hopkins was doing an interview and just basically talking about how he took a trip to Paris and he was surprised that he got recognized over there, that people knew him. But with Hop being a different kind of guy, he's a big soccer fan and some things like that. Of course, he probably attracts a different crowd than he's aware. Being an Adidas guy, Adidas people have a different kind of culture. Not knocking that up. Love what Hopkins does. He's a strange dresser, but hey, it is what it is. Tyrann Mathieu and DeAndre Hopkins, though, I want to talk about something interesting they said, but I'll wait because, like I say, we'll have Wink in here shortly. We'll be winking up, Wink Wednesday, double dosing it up. So we're going to talk about something that Tyrann Mathieu and DeAndre Hopkins both said that I found to be pretty interesting. Watson said he's going to be sticking to the script. Says he don't know what you guys think or what you guys are believing, but that he is not going to be playing tentative due to his knee. He's not going to be playing afraid. His game style is not going to change. And what's going on here? Why is this not showing up? Oh, that's the problem right here. I guess I should fix that. You got all kind of shenanigans going on over here. Fix that. But he said his playing style will not change. He will still be the dynamic athlete that we saw. Yeah, and I want to talk about that. I'm glad you mentioned that. So I'm curious, what is going on with that? How do you feel? As like I say, as the Patreon supporters I think it's only like 4 or 5 of them, but I owe you guys that. And as this thing grows, I want to know how you guys feel about that. The Astros had a nice little hot streak. They had the one of the better records in the entire league, MLB. And now it seems that they've been taking some L's. They didn't look too good in the last series. It just hasn't been, it hasn't been a nice little run. Do you think, well, White Persuasion, do you think that they'll recapture that? Do you think that they'll bounce back, or do you see some struggles for the foreseeable future? I mean, do you feel like they'll snap out of that and they'll get back right? I mean, I believe in them. I just think it's gonna. Oh, what's going on here? Okay, we got to figure that out. That's not acting right. So we ain't gonna fool with that right now because for some reason the ticker's looking all crazy. It ain't doing what it's supposed to. With the Astros, again, like with me not having the adequate knowledge, I really want to get more in depth in it. But like I said, again, I'll be doing more asking questions than I'll be doing, being able to answer. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me line this situation up real quick right here. And where are we at? Right here. Let me see if it's picking it up. Oh, come on, don't do that. Give me a second there. I see you calling in, Wink. I'm trying to let me get this right real quick because for some reason it's not letting me pick it up. So we're gonna make sure we're gonna bring in Wink and we're gonna get the conversation going because there's a couple of things that I want to discuss, a couple of things that I want to talk about. I don't know why it's acting crazy as shit. Okay, there we go. All right, testing. Can you hear me? Hello. Okay, yeah, it was tripping there for a second. Wouldn't let me pick up the call. Let me fix this real quick and make sure everything is what it's supposed to be. Okay, yeah, there we go. And we'll set that there and bring that in. All right, so what's the motherfucking deal, Wink? And shout out, like I say, this is something different we do on the Patreon stream for the Patreon supporters. And so we started doing this in the afternoon. It was an issue I was talking about before we get to the Rockets. We're talking about the Texans. There were some interesting things that were said yesterday. We started the workouts and everything like that yesterday. We heard about Global Hop and, he feeling himself. He came in feeling extra fresh and fly. Right. But there's some interesting things that were said yesterday by Tyrann Mathieu and DeAndre Hopkins. And I want to know your opinion on them. I'm kind of giving my sauce on it. I'm going to spill my splash on it. But both of them both of them were quoted as calling Bob McNair a great man. Now, last year, we know that when all that stuff went down, Hop was one of the guys that walked out. And for the most part, all stories were that he walked out because of that situation. But when he addressed the issue now, he said, more of some personal issues and some things like that. So do you think Hop is just trying to keep it player, or do you think that Hopkins really feels that way?
No, he doesn't really feel that way. He's doing the PC thing just like Bob McNair's doing the PC thing. I mean, at the end of the day, he's not going to be a distraction for his team when he already knows the distraction is by his owner. So why even add to that when you're going to just keep it moving and keep the narrative in the media when we don't even need any more bad juju? Exactly. Like, we want people to talk about the Texans in a positive way, and not behind some bullshit like this. Like, we've already spent enough time of it as Texas Tubers. The Houston media spent too much time on it, as well as the national media, and I'm not willing to give this man any more of my time, and nor should anybody else. You know what I'm saying? So the whole situation is under the bridge. He's already shown everybody what he truly is. So it's no scenario where he has to keep going on and on about it. Now, if he does something else, of course the players are gonna have to end up addressing it. But at the end of the day, the players know what's up, and they not here for him. They here for the team and what they can do, and and for whatever reason, you know what I'm saying. I mean, they like the guys that they got in there. We got a solid group of guys across the board, so why not take advantage of the youth that these guys still have, and give the city of Houston a championship, which we've never had in terms of football.
Absolutely. Now, I agree with you on that. And I feel like Hopkins just like, hey, we're not going to give the media anything else to feed into. Hey, we're going to squash all that shit. Because, again, all you see from the Texans, whenever it's good shit, nobody wants to talk. But they gave Watson love. I'll own up to that. They did give Watson love. But as far as the team giving DeAndre Hopkins the credit for what he did, they didn't do that even when Watson went down, when he was still doing damage. Even though we were losing the games, you got to respect the player for doing what he brings to the AB. He's still one of the best in the league, even though he's on a shitty team or the things aren't going his way. I think you still got to show love, because if it had been anybody else, trust me, they'd have been all over it. Another comment that I found pretty interesting, and it's a couple other things, and we'll kind of talk about it, and then we'll work our way around that. But J.J. Watt was talking about that whole situation a little bit too, and he was just saying that what has happened now, ever since that incident. And I can understand, of course, he's never experienced anything like that. He's J.J. Watt, especially in the city. And so he would be unfamiliar. I wouldn't expect him to be aware of certain things. But he says, now that locker room has opened up some dialogue, some things have changed, that, conversations are being had that were never had before. And, guys are becoming more enlightened. Do you think that that's a situation that'll bring together, better team unity? Guys are kind of on the same page, having better understanding of one another. When everything's always peachy keen, winning solves all the problems. But when shit gets real, and you got to go through some shit together, it builds stronger bonds. So, or my opinion. So do you feel like that's going to bring the team together as a unit? Do you think there may still create some tension? I mean, how do you feel about that?
I mean, if they're having a dialogue that he claims that the team is having, then I don't see how it's going to be a negative going forward. It should be nothing but good, positive thinking when you see stuff like this, because you can almost guarantee one of these situations that happens in real life has happened to one of J.J. Watt's black teammates. I mean, so the fact that the majority of his team is black, he's the only, if we being real, like, outside of maybe you can make a case for Nick Martin and a couple other guys, but he's probably the best white player that we have on our team if we're breaking down groups of individuals from different ethnic backgrounds who are holding down the city and the football team in a major way. So because he has that cachet and he's built up his reputation and he does a lot for the community, as well, for kids and things like that, and he produces on the football field when healthy, I mean, I don't see any reason why that was ever or wasn't. I mean, him saying that, like, that just means it was an issue beforehand. Okay. Because if that was the case, how could you not understand what was going on when it was in your face on a daily basis in the news, in the locker room, on the field, in the news media, on sports, on ESPN, NFL.com, and every single news outlet that's surrounded by sports? How could you not? You had to do this. You had to talk about it. And at the end of the day, it gives credence to the situation. I mean, we can understand all sorts of things and have empathy for all sorts of different situations. But when it comes to us as a whole, as a group of people, nobody has to understand because they're not in that situation.
Okay.
And it's unfortunate.
Okay. Okay. Now another conversation was brought up. we know old Sloppy McPancakes. I can't stand that motherfucker. But he was he asked him a question, and basically, JJ was talking about, hey, we're not blind. I want to say it was him that asked. It might have been somebody else that asked, but I know he tweeted it out. But every time I think about it, I just think of Sloppy McPancakes.
Right.
He basically was saying that, JJ was quoted as saying that, hey, we're not blind, and they shouldn't be, because this is something that we've talked about. We're not blind. We know what the Astros just did. We know what the Rockets are currently doing, and it's about time for us to do our part.
Right.
Do you feel like that's do you think that the Rockets and what the Astros are is serious motivation? I mean, if you're the last major professional team in the city without a championship, the Dynamo done did it, and they're always in the conversation. I mean, they're not maybe not in the championship conversation, but they're in the playoffs. They're consistent. You got all the other teams doing what they got to do. Do you feel like that the Texans are taking notice of this and it's going to amplify their game or make them step it up a notch?
I mean, you could look at it that way. I don't see how. I mean, it could be used as a positive or a negative. I mean, because it depends on the personalities that you have inside the locker room, and it also has to do with the coaching and what they got going on. Because none of the outside chatter is going to matter unless they produce on the football field. Those stories become less important, and the play and the impact the guys have on the field is always going to supersede anything else that has to do with the outside world. If as long as you're producing, nobody has nothing to talk about. They only want to see results, and that's what it all boils down to. And that's why winning is so important in any sport, but especially in the National Football League.
Okay. One second, I'm taking that. And absolutely, winning is a major deal. I feel like they have to take notice of that. I mean, it almost has to be embarrassing. Because at one point in time, we were talking about the Texans. We can talk about the Andre Johnson podcast that just happened not that long ago when they felt as a team, hey, this is our Super Bowl year. To have fallen so far from that point to where they are now, and I'm not saying that they're just out of the conversation. Had Deshaun Watson been healthy last year, anything could have happened. I don't know about the defense. It was just a little too porous without our major stars, But right now, there's chances and, there's hopes and things. But right now, the Texans, I don't feel like they're a legitimate, I think they're about a year or two away from being a legitimate contender. But but still, we can still be a threat. Anything can happen any given Sunday. But Watson, they asked him, hey, with your knee getting hurt, with you suffering another ACL injury, do you think that's going to affect the way you play your game? And he confidently came out and said, hey, I'm not changing nothing. I'm not going to play any different. I'm not sweating it. Does that make you nervous, or does that make you feel like, hey, confident in your quarterback?
Man, that gives me all the confidence in the world to know that we have a quarterback with that mindset, with the tenacity, and he gives the team hope no matter what. And that's what we need. Like, I that's the quarterback I want. I don't want any quarterback who's going to act any kind of way, who's passive aggressive. No, we need an aggressive attitude because we actually have aggressive players on here, regardless of whether they're open or not, or we can see them on the field, because we don't know what's being said behind the scenes. We say what we say about this, and we don't know who's an actual leader on the team because we don't see any leadership when it comes to breakdowns and this, and we don't see dudes holding each other accountable on the field. Mm-hmm. So to us, it just looks completely passive, and it just looks to us like we have a marshmallow-built football team. Mm-hmm. I mean, because what passion do we see on the field? We don't see any passion, and that's what we've been begging for. We've been needing at particular positions since the inception of this football team. We've been watching this product have blunders over and over and over and over again, and it's just like, when is the narrative ever going to change for this football team in terms of the tenacity and forcefulness that they want to have on the football field? It's not that we haven't seen it before, but how come we can't see it from certain specific individuals. I would have loved to see Andre Johnson mouth off and tell somebody and get on somebody's ass on the sideline when they were messing up.
Yeah.
I hold your quarterback accountable if he's doing something wrong. That doesn't make you less of a team guy because you hold somebody accountable. It only makes you more suitable to be a captain or a leader on the football team because you hold yourself accountable for your own actions as well as others. Because it's going to be no slacking and you not speaking up and not saying anything to your teammates when they falling off, regardless if it's behind the scenes or not, just shows that you're part of the mediocrity and you accept it because at the end of the day, what does it matter? You still going to be a millionaire when it's all said and done.
Yeah. A ringless millionaire. You can go buy you a fake ring. But yeah, man, because if we think about it, it was what? We only saw once. I think that we saw Andre really snap. And
that was in the Oakland game in 2013.
Yeah, you know what he said. We already heard what he said about 2012. And so, and that's what makes me wants to lead me to think that he saw that Schaub was the guy that he was talking about, and that's what.
That's definitely who he was talking about.
And so, because like I say, it had to be one or two things that he saw to be either Schaub's decline or the way people are starting to recognize Kubiak's offense. It had to be one of the two things.
It was both.
Yeah.
It was both because the writing was on the wall when it came to specific, especially when Week 4 showed all of that, and when the fact that Richard Sherman could come out after the game and say, "Man, we saw that play. We knew that play. We knew that play was coming." And there was no reason because by Week 3, after we won our 2 games, after that Tennessee game, we got blown out with like 30-3 in Baltimore the following week. And then we have a rough game, a game we were winning throughout the whole season. And the fact that we were in so many games that we lost by 3. If you would go back to that 2013 season, we lost too many games by 3 points. The Seahawks game, the Seahawks game, 3 points. The Kansas City game, 3 points. The Arizona game, 3 points. The fucking Patriots game, 3 points. People love to sit here and act like that game we had against the Patriots in the 2016 season was by far the best game, and this game that we just had. But it's how soon people forget in that 2013 season when Case Keenum and Ben Tate had a field day against the New England Patriots that game. You know what I'm saying? J.J. had a pick in that game. It wasn't an easy game. He's been having rough games against us since that 2013, with the exception of the 2015 season where J.J. Watt had that club on his hand and Jadeveon Clowney comes out and gets 2 sacks in that game. Besides that and that blowout and the blowout that Jacoby Brissett put up against us in that Week 3 game against Brock Osweiler was just horrendous. But if you take those games out, every other game that we've had with the Patriots has been competitive.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and he did see the writing on the wall because at the end of that season, there was no reason for us to be on the hiatus that we were. We were 9-0 at one point. That we were 5-0. Then we go 11-1. And then after that, we lose one of the last 4. We go 1-3, and we barely squeak by in a game against Cincinnati. And we had been beating Cincinnati handily, and we had beat them handed 31-10 the season prior in our first playoff game with a third-string quarterback.
Exactly.
Like, come on, how does that happen? Like, if anything, it should have been even more of a blowout when Matt Shaw was in the game, but it wasn't.
And it's funny, though, what you mentioned about those how close those games were that we were losing. And we know what was going on, that streak and those things. And really, when your quarterback is putting you in a position, when your quarterback is handing a team a touchdown to start off the game, your quarterback is just, no matter how good that defense was, you're putting them in a hole. I mean, the defense was solid in spite of the quarterback. You giving up free point defense, go out there and shut them down. The quarterback is out there giving out free touchdowns, and that's completely unacceptable. So I can understand that. I remember when he snapped there, everybody, that was kind of, you think about it, because Andre was always so cool, calm, and collected. When he went off, it was like it was acceptable because we know it just had to be some shit. Like, it had to be some real live shit. But moving on, talking about some guys who were also stars around that time. Arian Foster dropped a rap album. And
yeah, he did.
Yeah, and so I forgot the name. I wrote it down for Ben Fino or something like that. Fino is his rap name, I do believe. Haven't heard. I've heard some people say that it's pretty good. Arian Foster's a smart guy, and I heard somebody say about him freestyling that he actually could rap a little bit. But again, I've never heard any of it myself. I don't know. How do you feel about that? What kind of content do you think that What do you think he's rapping about? What do you think is
I
going on there?
think he's more of a. I think his content and the way that he rap. I think he's more of like a common,
Mm-hmm.
like a most def type of artist,
Some
maybe a J.
conscious shit.
Cole or something like, yeah, some conscious type shit.
Okay.
I really see him as that. I don't really see him. I've heard a little bit of his stuff before, and then on the Scarface vouched for him heavy.
No word.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Oh yeah. You didn't? Yeah, he had Scarface on the show about 2 months ago. If
Okay.
you've never seen that episode, yeah, you might want to go check that
I'll
out. Like 3 months. What am I talking about? In December.
Okay.
Last year. Yeah. So yeah. Scarface vouched for him heavy on this show. He gave him the plug, like on his show. He said Fino, right? Like he didn't. Arian Foster didn't say anything about this. Scarface brought him up while he was on his show and let him know. And he played something that he had kept at Arian Foster's because they were doing some stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because at first, Scarface thought he was gonna be trash, but then he listened to him and he was like, "Nah, man, he got something."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's very rare that you find an athlete that actually has lyrical ability. Nah, he vouched for him. Like if Scarface can vouch for you, then you might have something. So you may be well listened to because he's my second favorite artist of all time.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Not only did he drop, I believe Beasley has dropped an album. No age time. I don't even know what kind of album it is, but Beasley from the Cowboys, if I'm not mistaken. Might be. I have to double check. I seen Beasley drop it. Yeah, I want to say it was Cole Beasley that I saw somebody say drop it. I'm hoping maybe it was Michael Beasley. Somebody mixed it all up. But from what I saw, I think somebody said it was Cole Beasley. I have to double check that. But that would be shocking to say the very least.
I know. Yes.
Okay, and so like I say, the regular season schedule drops tomorrow. I mean, we kind of have an idea of who we're already going to be playing. We know who's going to be the home games, what's going to be the away games. Out of the teams that that we're facing, who would you like to see first, or the first 3 teams you'd like to see on that schedule?
Jaguars, first game, because that's going to be a major test for us right out of the gate. We're going to know exactly where this team is headed in the division by that first game. Mm-hmm. And it's a good. Not only that, it's a stout matchup.
Yeah.
And the second week, I would love for us to have, I'd say, the Giants maybe in week 2, and by week 3, the Patriots all over again.
Okay.
That's right off the rip. I don't want anything. I want to get the harder games out of the way.
Okay.
And for anybody that's listening to say the Giants, bro. We haven't really won against the Giants like that.
Yeah.
If you go back, look. We haven't really beaten the Giants like that. So that's why I'm just going ahead and I'm just saying the Giants right now because that's going to be a good matchup in terms of the talent that's going to be on the field on both sides of the ball because they potentially could have Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
And so. Yeah, I mean that's a potential pick for them.
Yeah.
On top of what they already have with Odell Beckham and such and such, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's going to be. I totally see them bouncing all the way back, and they're going to end up being one of these surprise teams that people going to see and that they're not really talking about. That's going to end up being in the playoffs and shine.
Okay, so you see Eli making another run.
They potentially. Yeah, I see them potentially making it to the playoffs.
Okay.
I just do. I see them because they've added so much on that team. They have a little bit more protection. All they need now is the running back.
Okay.
If you can find some way, especially if you can find some way to keep Odell Beckham and Sterling Shepard and other guys can go ahead, Evan Ingram and these guys can come out and really help you. And I don't know what they did with Brandon Marshall. I'm not sure if they cut him or not. But if he can find some way to be productive on this football team, then hey, man. It is what it is, and that's straight.
Already. So let's be serious. Let's think about it. Of course that we don't know where they're going to end up. We've heard lots of rumors. We heard that Belichick and Brady are beefing. We've heard all kind of off the wall shit that there may be some tension in the locker room and the front office, whatever it could be. Who knows? We'll see. We don't know what they're planning on drafting. We've heard Lamar Jackson. I've heard Josh Rosen. I've heard that the Patriots are looking for the next quarterback. One, it was stupid to get rid of the quarterback you had backing up in the first place, but whatever. What do you seriously see? Do you think this is the year that the Texans overtake the Patriots?
It could very well happen this year. And the fact that you have guys like Honey Badger in the back end make that very much possible. I mean, I honestly believe that guys like that are the type of guys, the real smart football players that know that they can't be fooled by his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
They know they have to pay attention to what he does with the release of the ball and have anticipation, which Honey Badger and guys like that have. And the fact that this defense right now knows him in the front, we already know a Whitney Merciless and Jadeveon Clowney give him major fits. So now that you're going to have the resurgence, you're still going to have guys like Bernard McKinney if they don't trade them. You're still going to end up having Dylan Coles and guys like that who are going to be way better in their second year. And now you're going to end up having a situation where Will Fuller's going to be on the side of the ball, and who's going to be able to guard him, especially if we end up getting a talent like Dez Bryant. They do not have the secondary to counteract that, and is going to end up having a field day, especially considering that Malcolm Butler, the staple in their defense in the secondary, is gone now, and guys like Stephon is going to end up getting abused when we play them. Like I just see us being able to feast, and the fact that he knows where his Deshaun Watson knows where his mistakes lie, and I'm probably sure he watched that game tape more than he even watched any other film in this past offseason, and he really sees and he knows where to take the advantages of in that defense. And they let so many pieces go, and now that we don't have to worry about Brandon Cooks. Worry about that. Like, Gronk potentially could be gone.
Yeah, this is also true.
This is also true, and now we don't have to worry about Dion Lewis, at least not in the Patriots uniform, because I don't believe he's going to be utilized right with the Tennessee Titans, and he's going to end up getting his just due when we see him in that Titans uniform. He's not. He's the least of my worries, but with Tom Brady, he's going to look like a completely different animal.
Yeah. But
we have the offense to stand toe to toe, and we got the quarterback in place to win that game. That's what it's going to boil down to. Who has the better game? And as long as Bill O'Brien doesn't get in the way and take the ball out of Deshaun Watson's hands twice in a row in two separate seasons, that's going to let you know where this team is headed. If Bill O'Brien if he stays in the way and he doesn't trust his team to win the games, because what are you a coach for if you don't feel they can get it done? And I'm not willing to leave Tom Brady with his ball in the hands, period, regardless of how stout the defense is. I just don't trust it. Okay. We haven't won against him to just or given him enough fits to where we can give Tom Brady another chance to score a touchdown, because he'll find a way.
Okay, I see that. Well, what I see here, I'm looking at that too, and I feel like we should be in a position when you talk about it, especially when you mention the losses that the Patriots have had, Dion Lewis, Cooks, Butler. Butler, I don't really think he was a problem last year for us that much.
No.
But you're talking about a guy like Dion Lewis, he gets his little shine, but more so Cooks. Cooks was the big deal with us last year. Now I look at two situations, okay? This year you put Honey Badger in the place of Corey Moore. We're talking about a different ball game. We're talking about a different conclusion to a ball game. So even if Bill O'Brien does, tries to leave that faith in defense. But then again, and the second thing I see is that I don't think that Bill O'Brien makes that mistake twice, just simply from the conversation. Deshaun mentioned that, they're having conversation how they're going to start tweaking things up. He's going to start doing things that cater to Watson's strength. And Watson also mentioned that, he's starting to pick up some more of the other complexities of the offense. He was talking about how simple everything was last year and how they're, adding a little bit more to it. So the fact that he's seeing that, okay, this guy can pick this up. I can do some things. I'm not going to have to keep this little, this simplified collegiate offense out there. That he knows that Deshaun is capable of handling. Deshaun isn't putting up with the pressures of transitioning, from college to the pros and, trying to figure out, understanding, where he fits. He's not questioning whether or not he's going to be a starter. He's coming in. He's the man. He knows his role. And I think that's going to streamline a lot of shit for Deshaun Watson. I think that's going to make shit a lot smoother. You're not playing a guessing game. You're not waiting behind Tom Savage, who you're obviously better than. And those things. So there's no second guess, no QB controversy. I feel like overall that we well, I don't want to sit here and just say, because then you're talking about Bill fucking Belichick. And depending on what moves they make in the draft, you just never fucking know. Because Bill Belichick's a crafty motherfucker. But, we have enough weapons to do things You know, again, like I say, they say Will Fuller's getting bigger. He's been working out, trying to get stronger. So hopefully put some muscles on those collarbones so you don't break no more of them hoes.
Right.
Like you can really put some muscle on, but you know, try to beef up and minimize some of those injuries. I want to believe, like I say, I believe this will be a better year for the Texans. Again, like I said, I don't think we're just quite Super Bowl ready yet, but who knows? Things can happen. Things could all fall. I mean, we have the talent to be. We obviously have the talent to be, but it's just I don't know if the chemistry is fully there yet. Again, with just kind of the pieces getting dinged up last year, we're still hoping and praying. We're hoping that JJ comes back to be JJ because we're still hoping and praying. You know, what we wanted to see last year was the JJ and Clowney show. You know what I'm saying? With our special guest star Whitney Merciless, because you know he's one of those co-stars that's gonna show up every episode. You know, he's the neighbor from down the street on the sitcom that pop up at the house every episode. You know, he gonna be there. He might as well be a main character because he is the real deal. And so we're hoping to see what that could truly be. And I mean, you know, JJ saying he's feeling good. You know, he's not afraid. He's talking about he's telling, you know, Watson to be accountable for the offense, and Watson telling, you know, he's going to be accountable for the defense. And you know, you mentioned that earlier about guys, you know, hey, you know, pointing fingers and saying, hey man, you need to step it up. I'm for sure Honey Badger going to do it. I'm not even worried about that. I know he's going to say what needs to be said. You know, he's going to speak his motherfucking mind. I just feel like it's going to be a different. It's going to be a whole different unit, even though it's a lot of similar guys there. With Rat coming back, I think things are just going to be a whole different vibe. I think guys know that they're in a better position. I was kind of saying, you know, the year before, I think even before Vrabel became the GM, you know, many of the Texans may have been in a strange position. You know, is Rat going to be? Is he going to stay here? Is Vrabel going to be the man? I think it was just that the way that the Texans kind of handled that situation. To me, it was dumb because what was the point of doing the 1 year tester? What were you trying to? What are you really doing? What kind of favor is it doing for you or Vrabel just to keep him here, let him be a defensive coordinator for a year, and then he still bounces anyway? You know, I don't understand what the whole point of that little situation was. To me, it was like they were experimenting with a season almost. Like, hey, let's just see what happens. You know, you got a proven motherfucking defensive coordinator here,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Who's been doing it, willing to do it. But then again, we don't know. Maybe Rack just said, hey, you know, I kind of want to step back a little bit. I need a little bit. You know, I don't want to leave it all, but I just, you know, maybe I need to chill a little bit. Maybe I don't want to. Who knows? You have no idea. Like I said, again, like you say, so many conversations that are happening in that locker room and those offices that we'll never be privy to, and we can only speculate by the outcomes that we see. But let me jump on the Rockets for just a little bit. Rockets taking on the Timberwolves tonight. We can probably get really more into it, and more so into the Rockets pregame tonight. But just looking at it, the T-Wolves are I don't want to say they're posing a threat. The problem was the Rockets played a shitty game. Other than James Harden and Clint Capella showing up, the rest of that roster was not holding. What do you expect from the Rockets this evening?
Man, I expect them. I expect them to win more handily tonight. I expect them to go ahead and have a much better defensive game, and I expect the offensive guys to have much better games. I think Capella, with what he showed in his last playoff game, that's only going to elevate because him and James Harden had a field day. Mm-hmm. And you can limit the turnovers and things of that such, and you don't make any solid, you don't make any bad mistakes. CP3 is going to step up in a major way, and I think guys like Ariza and Gordon are going to start putting on for the city tonight. So PJ Tucker is probably going to end up having a big game as well. So I think those guys, you know, they're going to come up, regardless if they're starting or they're coming off of the bench, they're going to go ahead, they're going to step it up. And I even see them maintaining and doing the same thing in Minnesota when they go in a couple more days. I just going to see it continuing. I don't see this going to 5 games. I mean, I see it going as a sweep. With the type of game and how they won and how they edged their game out a few nights ago, I already know they probably limited the things and the mistakes that they're going to have, and it will only increase on the things that they did well. So I think it's going to probably be better ball movement, and guys are going to be much more efficient when they take shots tonight.
Okay, absolutely agree. To me, I just look at it like, like I say, outside of Harden and Capella, everybody else had shitty games. If any of those guys have an average game, you know, their average, I think you see a completely different outcome. I think it was, I think they said Gordon, Green, and and I forgot who it was, went like 1 for 10 from the 3-point line. That's uncharacteristic. Gordon will give you 5 or 6 himself, really, if you let him. He can hit that. Green, he gonna come in. He ain't afraid. He gonna hit that. But the thing was, it was like, I don't know. I wouldn't even say the shots they were off because they weren't going in, but some of those shots were. I mean, they had great looks all night. It was just that the shots were not falling because a lot of those was rimming out. We said Gordon shot one, that hole rolled around twice, came up out the main. It was just they just weren't going in. And sometimes it ain't just shit you can do about that.
Exactly.
And then, like I say, I was telling people last time, they thought I was kidding. They were cracking jokes again, and I'm going to say it again tonight. Motherfuckers better watch out for Derrick Rose because Derrick Rose was hooping when Butler had to sit for a little bit. Derrick Rose was trying to take over that offense, and he was looking like old MVP Derrick Rose. I'm not saying that the old MVP Derrick Rose wasn't better than MVP James Harden. I'm just saying he was starting to look a little bit. You saw flashes of old D Rose. He's going to be an X factor. But again, I don't expect the Rockets to come out and play that piss poor. There's no way. Well, I don't want to say there's no way. There's always a way. But the law of averages says that there's no way that the Rockets come back out and play that piss poor of a game, go 10 for 37 from 3 points when they usually, hitting 15, 16, 17 threes a game, and you're talking about 5 to 7 more threes a game. You're talking about 15 to 21 more points. A couple more of those shots fall. But the thing I am concerned about is that the Timberwolves may have gotten some false confidence. And they may be feeling like, hey, Karl Anthony Towns, our second best scorer, had a horrible night too, and we were still right there. It was a 3-point game. Karl Anthony Towns, he'll get you 20, 21 in a night easily. 20-something and 14, 15 rebounds a night, and it's no thing. But they held him down to 8 points. I mean, Capella held him down to 8 points, which was great. That's what I say. Capella stepped in. He made a real name for himself in that game because Cat is one of the better young bigs in the game, and Capella showed up and pulled up, and Cat game slowed up. So, again, I'd love to see a repeat performance from Capella tonight. I'm hoping for that, and if we can get that type of consistency out of Capella, you talking about a 20 and 12 guy every night, shit, you gonna have a hard time dealing with the Rockets for the next few years because, of course, he's gonna resign. I'm not even worried about that. The Rockets gonna make sure they pay him. But I mean, it's just it's good to see him starting to develop. It's good to see how he was out there hustling. Like Capella took his game to a next level, and I hope to see that consistently throughout the playoffs. But with that being said, man, I'm pretty much kind of wrap it up here. Is there anything you wanted to mention or talk about, or if you want to save for the second sauce here, we'll do about 6:30 or so. Or?
Yeah, it's just about man, it's absolutely crazy. Oh, we was doing another sauce.
Yeah. This one right. I say this is one for the Patreon supporters because I said I'm gonna start doing something special for them for all the people who support. Well, it's 4 or 5 folks who support on Patreon, and then with it being a pregame tonight, but I'm gonna do the pregame show about 7:45. So we're gonna bump the normal sauce up to 6. Well, it'll be 7:30 your time. It'll be 6:30 your time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know it was 2 shows. I thought it was just 2 shows.
Yeah. No, that's what I say. That's why the chat ain't really been jumping because I say this is a smaller crowd with the Patreon. And I want to start doing stuff exclusive for them. A bit more personal with them, so they don't get lost in the crowd. Sometimes the chat can be jumping, and if they've committed to the flavor, I want to show a little bit of love back. And then what we do is, like I say, after we go live on this, then I'll release this video live for everybody else. They just don't get to participate, and they'll get to come back and watch it, and then that way they can get kind of stirred up. Maybe have some things they want to speak on for the next sauce that we have here shortly. So, and anybody who's catching this, they watch it to the end, man. April 19th through the 22nd. If you have an Xbox, PUBG is free. You can catch Wink at Wink 5100. You can catch me at HonchoSaucy, and if you go scoop the PUBG during the free days, man, we fuck with it. We'll run with you. So if you fucking with it, man, we'll run some squad with you. Go ahead and make sure you scoop that. If you owe Fortnite Fallout, go play a real battle royale, and you go see what you've been missing. And you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Fortnite freaks. Y'all some Fortnite freaks playing them old cartoon shooters. But so make sure y'all fuck with us, man, because it's all about the sauce. We love interacting with y'all, man. Shit, we didn't ran some games with some Tennessee Titans fans. They've actually been cool about it. And so, man, like I say, we it's all about the sauce, man. We fuck with y'all. We interact with y'all a long way, man. So just, hey, if you own that, if you're a gamer, make sure you scoop that and get that in. But with that being said, man, Sauce Nation, Patreon supporters especially, I appreciate y'all. And if you watching this later, like I said, I don't want to discount the donators or the super chats. I just don't have a way to do something exclusive with that Patreon supporters is a different thing, so I can approach that a different angle. But we're gonna work something out for everybody who's donating and stirring up this flavor, man, keeping this thing going. But with that being said, man, we're gonna chunk up the deuce. We're gonna catch y'all here shortly, man. So y'all stay saucy, be cool like y'all be cool, and we out.